Why would we want thermal imaging inside of a ghost hunt? Oh, come on, guys.
They don't radiate heat, so if it's really cold, you can see it.
Exactly. We're looking for cold spots. All right, to make it simpler. Thank you for being scientific. So, you guys should be able to see me in there, right? Red, orange, and yellow guy. If you were a bridal party, I would be the hottest thing inside the video right now. So that kills when they're drunk, just so you know. Now, we're looking for blue and black spots to literally move or to start taking shape on their own. So again, we're going to have blue and black spots because not everything is going to be the temperature of our skin. So with that said, there's also a blue dot bouncing around the screen that is there to show you the coldest spot in the frame at that particular moment. Wow, those lights are bright. So when you guys get your video back, it is there to help guide your eye on where the cold spots are going to be in your video. So we're going to talk more about that as we kind of move along. But you are going to get this full video back. Alright, so welcome to your first space. Let's go ahead and get that muted just while we kind of cover the history and then we'll spread out. So keep in mind, we are in a parking lot. Congratulations, you made it. So, to a parking lot. I told you I'm taking you to weird spaces. You got anything out of it now?
I'm still trying to open my...
Oh.
Sorry.
Yeah, hold on.
Okay.
So, we are actually at the Eliza and Charles Pinckney mansion site. So their mansion used to sit in the front of this space facing East Bay Street. Eliza's garden was lined up with Five Church Restaurant over there and came all the way across. And we are standing in the servant and slave quarters for the home. I always like to give you the layout of the land before we truly get into the history. So, well, by the way, all of you communication device people, I am not going to be giving you questions like what color is George Washington's white horse, like what we did over there with the big red barn. I'm going to withhold information on purpose, so that way you guys actually have a genuine experience. So, who the heck were these people? Charles and Eliza had...
I did the record earlier.
Okay.
When we first got in, I must have hit it somehow or another.
It's alright. Even like all those little videos you're going to take, I'm going to splice them all together, and that way you have one video. So, have we heard anything out of there yet?
The number 5.
Number 5. And you also heard Charles, is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
5 isn't anything relevant to me directly, at least nothing that I know of, but we'll kind of see what pops up.
Okay.
And then she said she heard Elijah. It's not Eliza, so not close enough for me yet.
Okay.
Alright, so camera was it? Rappy.
How did your children die? You're going to keep asking me what I'm saying.
I thought you were supposed to ask what age they were.
And how they died.
Oh. Okay.
When you pointed at that gate, does anything come up? Probably music. Maybe she said 1870s. night apparently. I want to go on a great.
Well, all I can tell you is, after about 2 hours, I'm gonna hang this up.
That's not relevant at all. Obviously, hearing the name Charles while we're at this location, you know, a number of the children and things like that. And remember, you're going to get the least amount of information, but it's going to be the most accurate. So again, right. Everybody else.
I heard they were forgotten. It could be just like a radio DJ. I have no idea.
That's what he said. He
Well,
said
how do
it's
you know
scanned.
what really stands out?
That's up to him.
So I saw some orbs, but they were moving when I was moving this, so I assume that's just like a reflection.
There is one little guy on there. I can't seem to get rid of it, and that's why I use the LEDs now. That it's like in the lower portion, but dead center of the screen, and it'll kind of move with the camera based on light reflection.
Yes, it's like right over here.
Right.
Like that.
So that's normal.
That's
Okay.
from
That's what I
from the
figured.
light. They used to, with that particular camera, the company that makes it kind of recommends you use like with it like that.
Tell me if you can do it with your camera.
Hmm?
I said, tell me if you can do it with your camera.
Should I be staying with anyone? Like maybe.
I think mine keeps landing on a Christian station because I hear them talking about Jesus.
Alright, Laura, let me see your word list. Let's see what we got going on. I like blue. And obviously, we're still close to here.
James Brown.
See anything else that makes me like, oh my god, check this out. Nothing's like really screaming at me. So,
Out loud to it.
focus on it. It's not loud. Remember that this is not a walkie-talkie. We're not in the device. So again, it's just like a personal.
Did you point it
Nope. He said I'm supposed to try and keep somebody in frame every time, so. Should have brought my dip with me. This would be the perfect thing. Mm-hmm.
Tina, you got anything else coming out of there?
No,
Nothing specific that you know of?
no.
All right.
I think mine's picking up a lot of Christian talk stations.
It is Sunday, and you're in the Bible Belt.
Yeah.
To be expected. What's going on with the cars? But yeah, nobody's really got anything like super specific. I thought the word list would give us a little bit more. We got a couple of spikes out of Rich it's expected of the numbers that he gave me for this space. So I think I'm going to rein everybody in. Everybody can kind of tell me what's going on with the device. Once these cars move, we'll wait till they get out of our way. And again, I don't always follow up with the cameras in real time. The screens were small. And the belly shot is usually the best, just so you know. Like, you're doing a great job. You need a job for me. So. But yeah, when I watch these, the slower the better. Just so much easier to watch. All right, guys, let's rein it in. Heard along the way. Anything?
Gold. Silver.
Ain't nothing? Maureen?
Nothing.
I heard you like screaming back there, like all the static.
It was like, but no words.
No words.
That I could make out.
All right. Any phrases show up on yours?
We heard, I don't want you to have to go.
I wrote that down. I meant on your Ouija board.
Oh, this one? No.
Okay, so do me a favor and do that hard reset like I showed you earlier.
Okay.
I want you specifically looking for the initials RI, consecutively. So that'll make more sense here in a second. Molting?
Moldy.
Oh, it's not moldy down here. So welcome to Philadelphia Alley, everybody.
Should I record this now?
Yeah, we definitely want to get some footage down here. So if you have a video camera, by all means. Keep in mind, other tours, this is a staple for every other ghost tour. So if they start cutting through, we're just going to let them, we'll split the sea, let them go through. We do not film them because they do not pay to get filmed. That's just not what they do. So, Philadelphia Alley. This is a weird spot. It's not a space where we're not going to like spread out and investigate. We will get things hopefully while we're here. So even if you're focused on me through the history portion of this, things are probably coming through on your spirit box, and we will get bleed over at the next space for this location as well. We'll be close enough to it. So this used to be called Dueller's Alley. This is where some of the duels used to occur for the city of Charleston. It's kind of weird that there's nobody else down here, by the way. Just going to point that out. Like, take 10 paces, turn and shoot.
Oh.
Yeah. So it's kind of like it'll make more sense as we move along. So every ghost story that comes down here tells the same story, but you're going to hear a little bit differently from me because we're going to go over some of the details because you're ghost hunting. This is not campfire and marshmallows. So Maureen's laughing. Yeah, that's what we want. We want the nitty gritty. So,
Yeah,
and you don't feel molested, do you? You got a smile on your face. I had to ask. So,
Hey, who knows? You could be getting molested and be smiling.
I know, right?
You never know.
Are you okay?
Is that what it says?
Yeah.
So, there's a doctor that moves down here from Rhode Island. He moves down here because he's supposed to get married to his fiancée, Amanda. Amanda just inherited a bunch of money from her dead parents. She's an attorney, helping her out with all the cash. The attorney thinks that doctor is after Amanda's money. The full name of the doctor, by the way, I don't think I gave you that, was Dr. Joseph Brown Ladd. I gave you all of the full name because all of it will show up at some point in time, at least bits and pieces of it. So if you hear brown-eyed girl, it is not coincidence, just so you guys have that idea. Yeah, I know, right? And we get it here all the time.
I might hear that song.
You might hear that song. But anyway, Dr. Ladd, to prove that he's not after Amanda's money, comes to Charleston to start his new medical practice. As he's coming into town, the coachman set him up to be robbed and killed. It wasn't a very good start to his stay in Charleston. Somebody was walking by. His name was Ralph Isaacs. Keep in mind, his initials are the same as where the doctor came from, R.I. Ralph Isaacs, Rhode Island. We often, before we even had the Ouija board device, we're getting the letters R.I. showing up on your spirit boxes in different fashions. It was weird. Ooh, a little bit of something. We'll see what goes on.
I'm getting a lot of jumps too.
How high?
2.2 to 3.9.
The lamppost will probably make it go all the way to 5. So anything above 5 is going to be the base for this location. Where was I? So Ralph tells the doctor, he's like, I know this guy. He's going to try to kill you. You don't want to go inside. He's like, I got some friends at 59 Church Street. You can stay there and rent a room and you'll be safe. Dr. Ladd took him up on the offer. They became friends. The longer the doctor's staying here, the more money he's making. So he's proving his point. He's not after Amanda's money. Wait, Amanda gets wind of this. Sorry, his Ouija board keeps going off, and I'm like, what is going on? So I got off track. But Amanda gets wind that he's making his own money and doing pretty well for himself, so she's going to move down so they can get married. Dr. Ladd becomes known as the Whistling Doctor. What I'm going to tell you is that every haunted city you're ever going to visit has a cliched whistling ghost. I'm just going to put it out there. We actually have proof of this. I'm not just saying that. This is legit stuff. So I'll tell you about that in just a minute. Ralph and Dr. Ladd go see plays together, but they can't sit next to each other because the doctor makes more money. That's the way the hierarchy works in Charleston. So they talk about these plays on the way home. One night they went to see Richard III from Shakespeare, and they're arguing over the new actress that was in town. Dr. Ladd thought she was fantastic. Ralph, not so much. The argument gets really heated when Ralph starts insulting the doctor's fiancée, Amanda, back home in Rhode Island. So they obviously go their separate ways, pretty ticked off at each other. Told you Ralph has friends around town. Goes to see his friends at the newspaper. He puts an ad in the paper telling the whole city of Charleston what he thinks of the doctor. Kind of a, you're a disgrace to society, sir, kind of mentality. Dr. Ladd sees the newspaper ad, but rebuttals with, let's just go to Jeweler's Alley. We're going to settle this once and for all. Like over a squabble over an actress and him insulting his girlfriend, or fiance. So they come down, they took their 10 paces, they turn. The doctor pointed his gun in the air, and he shot. He did not want to kill his friend. He just wanted to have the courage and bravery to show up to the fight, which is often what happened at a duel, by the way. It wasn't always a dead guy. Ralph has his one bullet. Anybody want to guess where he put it?
In his head.
Nope.
Chest.
Nope, his kneecap. The doctor didn't die either, but Ralph proved his point. He's still pissed off. So Dr. Ladd drops to the ground. His friends pick him up, carry him home to 59 Church Street, where he dies 10 days later on November 2nd of 1786. So, he also refused medical treatment during that 10 days. Why? He's a doctor. He probably tried to bleed out this bullet himself. This is the late 1780s. Bullets back then were not the same as what we know now, so he's probably more worried about lead poisoning. So again, he refused the medical treatment. Other versions of this story will tell you that the second best doctor came in to try to help him, kind of mentality. All the research that I've done on this story, he refused it. It was more than 3 to 4 times that I read that in different articles of this particular story. So the other ghost tours that come down here will tell you to listen for the whistles, right, as you're walking through here. We're using my voice recorder, so hopefully you're going to get some whistles in the background when you guys listen to it. However, if you're going to try to come through here all the way by yourself and like go all the way to the end, I can't take you that far because I've actually been kicked out of here, and I'm going to get to that. That's the fun part of the story. But turn on your voice recorders, listen for whistles in the background, but keep in mind every local knows this story. Anybody walking up and down Cumberland or Queen Street throws a whistle down the alley. I do it every single night. We pass my garage above the Scotchman, that little convenience store over there, so I have to pass this alley every night. If my daughter's on the tour with us, we race to see who's going to throw the whistle first. It's just the game we play, especially since we got booted out of here. So let's talk about how I got booted out of here. That's the fun part. So this alley didn't come all the way through, going that way. It was cut off about halfway between us and Cumberland Street. So that's because this is where they kept the livestock, so they had to kind of keep them huddled in. So that means those bricks down on that side are older than the bricks on this side. Those bricks on that side are sun-dried bricks from slave children. And I would always take my groups down there because I'm sure you guys picked up on I'm all about the history to prove, like, hey, look how far we've come away from slavery. We all need to see it regardless of the diversity of my groups. However, all of my groups want to try to get a reading out of it. So they all want to huddle around it, and I treat that brick the same way I do a grave. Do you think that kid's really staring at that brick in the afterlife? That's the last place you're going to find that kid. So one night, November 26th of 2020, yes, a very specific date, and it is relevant, I'm going to get to that. My group is all huddled around it, and I'm trying to shoo them along because it's outside the dining room window of the beautiful mansion at the end of the alley. Yeah, we're not supposed to be there, and I didn't know that. We were out of bounds. I was in the wrong. The new neighbor came out screaming. My daughter thought it was great because Dad's getting yelled at, and we moved on. The next day was Thanksgiving. I don't tour on Thanksgiving because I worked in retail management for 20 plus years, mainly for Walmart, to fuel my pain. So I don't work Thanksgiving. The next day was November 28th of 2020. I got a phone call asking me to go down halfway or to reroute my groups. So obviously we had a complaint. So I decided I'm going to reroute my group, but the story that we were about to go into, I told my team, I don't really believe the story we're going to go into. I'm going to tell you what I do know about pirates. I'm a vampire guy, not a pirate person, and we'll see what happens. Before we left, somebody heard the name Anne on a spirit box. What I didn't tell that group is we are going to be investigating the female pirate Anne Bonny. So I was like, oh shit, now something's going to go down. We get up there, I told the little bit I did know about pirates in Charleston up there, and we were kind of waiting to see what happens, and somebody else heard the number 300, and I didn't know what that meant. That's obviously a very specific number. I looked it up the next day. We were there November 28th of 2020. Anne Bonny's trial for piracy, November 28th of 1720. We were there on the exact 300-year anniversary of her pirate trial. So I went, damn it, now I gotta learn about pirates. So I've read more books than I ever wanted to about piracy, trying to piece together a factual investigation based on pirate lore. You guys should be lucky I have a master's degree in creative writing and can piece all this together. So I have a stack of pirate books in my office that I've gone through dozens of times, trying to make sure everything we're talking about is as accurate as I can possibly make it. Everything we're going to discuss came from a minimum of 2 resources. Keep in mind we're also going to get things from Philadelphia Alley because we're basically going to be right across that courtyard. So speaking of this courtyard, right here, this gate, I also like to tell you why it's here. It's kind of a creepy little fun fact about Charleston that not many people know. Remember that the alley didn't go all the way through this way? That would have also been at the time of the duels that occurred. This was the shortcut in the event that there was a loser to the duel. The reason why is because St. Philip's Cemetery is right there. Otherwise, they'd have to go all the way down to Queen Street and back around with a dead body. That's dead weight. And that's keeping you from going to celebrate with a fresh new pint. So, they would use this as a shortcut to get over to the cemetery. It's got a wrought iron gate on it now, but that was probably put there in the early 1900s. So just kind of keep that in mind. Not a lot of people know why this gateway is actually there. So, have we seen or heard anything? Anything going on with your device?
I got a bunch of names. I got Derek. I got drunk. Administration June. I think that's the only ones that make any sense.
Any letters show up for you? We get an RRI?
No, RI yet.
Okay. All right. So again, did you get any other numbers that showed
Yeah,
up?
it's staying around 2 for me.
Yeah, fair enough. So we're going to go up to the powder magazine and discuss things. So Tina, were you focused strictly on me, or were you listening over there?
No, I was asking Andy if we're allowed to take pictures, like with our cell phones.
Oh, this is your night.
Yeah,
Have fun.
okay,
If you guys
okay.
find stuff, send it to me. Like,
Okay.
I'll take a look at it. I analyze stuff pretty much on a daily basis. I was looking at photographs after last night's investigation. But anyway, by all means, take photos. I don't mind. It's your guys' night, not mine. You're collecting evidence for yourself, not for me to collect stuff and say, look at all the stuff I did. But any other major questions about this weird alley? I'm just surprised nobody's come through here. Maybe it's because it's Sunday. Maybe you guys are just the cool kids who want to work on a Sunday night. All right, let's go talk about pirates. Let's do this. Those of you with video cameras, if you want to keep them going, by all means do so. If you want to give your hands a break, do that too. Up to you.
I'm listening. Oh, because I'm listening to him.
What? Okay. I'm just waiting for me to step on one of those things and collapse inside. Do not trust streetcars, manhole covers. I've seen them on freaking base where people have stepped on them and just dropped all the way down to the knee. Oh, we were here earlier. That's the powder magazine for the city. That's the St. Charles Church, right?
Tina, you got anything? You're grinning like you got something.
No, I was just taking pictures.
Oh, by all means. You're at a 96% 96% full moon tonight, just so you guys know. You guys missed the full moon by 2 nights. So there are certain times of the year where the full moon lands right next to St. Philip's steeple, and I use that picture for social media all year round. It's gorgeous. And in black and white, it's even better. But anyway, so get out, then I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Huh.
I thought I heard the beginnings of Jesus, but then it's...
What
Yeah.
biggie? Are you vibing on there?
I figure we're heading...
What biggie though?
Yeah, but what song?
I mean, is it that one?
Yeah.
Biggie was a pirate.
Wow. This is a fun group. I have
call
to
them
say,
Downey.
like, the humor here is actually astronomical compared to some of the other groups I get. Like,
We're
it's
top
almost,
tier. What can I tell you, Nick? We are top tier.
well, what's funny is like I get attentive groups like you guys, but normally it's a stone face.
Oh no.
Nothing.
Like,
tell you
what is
groups to
happening
drink
right
before
now? But you guys have been like all giggles all night long.
Tell you groups to drink before this.
Yeah, I was gonna say, do you get a
That'll
lot of
that'll
drunk
help.
people?
I don't tour up those drinks.
Oh, really? Wow.
Like if somebody comes to me and they're awesome,
Oh, yeah.
I'll go home.
But like the fun, like bubbly, had a few drinks.
Had a few drinks. Like if this group had a few drinks, I wouldn't be able to tell. You're here to have fun. That's the whole point. So as long as you're respectful to me, the equipment, and the ghosts, we're gonna go. But if I find somebody that can't even get up, I'm going home. It's just that simple. So, yeah, I've had, I don't know how many people show up stoned thinking they were gonna have a great time. I'm like, yeah, have a good night, buddy. Thanks for your money.
Oh.
Like, I don't refund either, especially for that. But anyway, where are we? We're at the Powder Magazine. We're going to be discussing that little building over there. This will be a place where we can spread out. I brought us back here because other tours like cut through the lot and they give their little spiel, and I kind of let them do it. So again, it's just weird. It's very calm tonight too. You guys hearing like this weird, peaceful? Like, it's very weird. But the Powder Magazine, those are not crosses on that building. Those are earthquake bolts. So what the hell are earthquake bolts? If we get another earthquake like what we did in 1886, which we haven't, by the way, you can turn those because they're turnbuckles. So it'll stop the building from incurring any further damage from the earthquake that already occurred. It's a great idea, it just doesn't work, just so you guys know. The reason I bring these ones up specifically is part of the reason why we're here. Those were the first set of earthquake bolts that Charleston put in. Why? It's the oldest government building in South Carolina. It was finished in 1713. So you guys have been seeing earthquake bolts all over town, but they look like lion heads and pineapples and all kinds of crazy Charleston charm bullshit. Yeah, take a look at those. That's what they were originally designed like. But we are here because this building is familiar to Anne Bonny. It was being constructed at the same time that she was coming here to start her new life. So this is what I call a familiar. If you guys watch the TV shows, it's like using a teddy bear to attract a child ghost. So it's the same type of principle. So we may get a lot here, we might not get anything. We never know. It's just one of those things. Welcome to the paranormal supernatural field. But this building took 10 years to build. Does that sound like our government? Small building, 10 years? No, not at all. But right in the middle of its construction is when Anne Bonny came here and where our story begins. 1708. Follow me. There's a lot of twists. It's pirate lore, just so you remember. And you're going to love this one because you've been all, grins about certain jokes. So you're going to love this guy. 1708, a young lady moves here from Ireland. Her name is Anne Cormac. She comes here with her father and his mistress. The mistress is Anne's mother. Are you guys with me so far? Okay, good, head nods. The three of them are running away from her father's angry wife. How pissed was she that they left Ireland by boat to come here? Just putting that out there. So they land in Georgetown. Dad bought a plantation. Mom died pretty quickly. That means he's sending young Anne down here into town to be able to sell anything from the plantation to keep things afloat. So let's take a step backwards. Anne back home in Ireland was said to be a badass. At the age of 7, 8, 9 years old, they say she killed a servant with a knife to the belly. We have had the term servant, knife, and belly show up all in the same evening, just so you know. Fast forward, that building is done in 1713. By 1715, pirates are coming through town. Anne's about 16, 17 years old at this point, and she's going to fall in love because she wants to earn her freedom, just like a man. That's the way things go. It's a man's world. Guy number one. Yes, I said number one because there's a handful. We're going to go through them. Guy number one is James Bonny. You already know where this one's going because we've already mentioned her full name already. So, Dad didn't approve because he's a filthy pirate. They run away to Jamaica. They get married. Anne Cormac is now Anne Bonny, the famous female pirate. However, James is not Captain Jack Sparrow that she was hoping for, right? So, this guy turns out to be a privateer. He's a spy for the British. He's a coward in her eyes. This is not who she wants. She falls in love again a few years later. Guy number two, John Rackham, a.k.a. Calico Jack. This is the guy that they based your Johnny Depp character off of, just so you know. So this is literally the guy she's looking for. He has his own crew. What's that?
Represent.
He has his own crew, but you can't put a girl on a pirate crew. Does anybody know why? Keep it
Same
family.
reason Raffic got raped last time.
I was gonna say keep it family friendly, but I remembered what group I had. So they're bad luck. So he makes a deal with her. If you dress like a guy and hide your gender, you can be part of the crew, but you're definitely gonna be a female in my quarters. She's okay with this because Dad used to cross-dress her as a boy apprentice back home in Ireland to keep her away from his wife. So she knows it's a man's world. She's good with it. She's a pirate. Let's go. But she's a female in his quarters. We're all adults here. Obviously, we've been talking about molestations. So let's put 2 and 2 together. She's going to get pregnant by being a female in his quarters. You can't have a pregnant pirate dude on the crew. Somebody's going to figure out that she's a girl. So Jack drops her off in Cuba. Go have the baby over here. These are friends of mine. Come back later. We'll figure it out. She goes and has a baby, but returns with no baby. We have no idea what happened to the child. No amount of the research that I've done can find the actual happening. But she does come back dressed as a female. This makes Jack pretty pissed off. And while she was away giving birth to his child, he captured another pirate crew. They're down below deck. She's going to go flirting, because that's what Anne does. She's going to make him even more mad. So, guy number 3. Guy number 3 turns out to be a female, dressed like a guy to be part of the pirate crew that Calico Jack captured. So now we have 2 females dressed like males on the same ship. Her name is Mary Reed. She went by Mark Reed to become a pirate. Mary and Anne become lovers, possibly that we may know of, but definitely friends. The British find out where they are. They send an entire fleet of ships to come take down one pirate ship. The rumor is that Anne and Mary were the only 2 pirates not drunk enough to come up and fight with their 1-bullet flintlocks. Probably because they don't know how to use the cannons yet. They haven't been pirates for very long. Obviously, 2 ladies are not going to take on a whole fleet of ships. So they get arrested. And as they're being arrested, she looks at her beau, Captain Jack, and she says, "You should have fought like a man instead of being hanged like a dog." The word dog shows up a lot here, by the way, because that's a very famous quote. The judge wants to see the 2 quote-unquote men that fought back so valiantly on their own. He's already tried and hung Calico Jack and all of the drunk pirates that wouldn't fight 2 days prior, so they're already dead and gone. Anne and Mary go in front and reveal their gender, hoping that the judge will set them free. He doesn't care that they're female. He's still going to hang them. They're pirates. "We plead our bellies," was the last thing they screamed out to him, because you can't hang a pregnant woman in 1720. They were both claiming to be pregnant. He sends them both back to jail, delays the hanging, but Dad's up here in South Carolina with all of his Irish money, because he was an attorney back home. He bails out Anne, brings her back home. She remarries. That's husband number 2, but guy number 4. We're going to count Mary Reed, because we don't really know for sure. She has 4 kids, dies at the age of 84. Yes, very abrupt ending. You guys were expecting another 20 minutes out of that story, for sure. However, Mary Reed dies a year later, 1721, from whatever pirates die from in a Jamaican jail. Most books and articles will tell you that it was fever. I'll call bullshit. Make it romantic for yourselves. It's probably scurvy. So again, it's pirates. Let's really dress it up for you. A couple of things that I left out of the story on purpose, because you all know what you're doing with your communication devices by now. I left out the name of Anne Bonny's parents on purpose. I also left out the name of Calico Jack's ship on purpose, so that way you guys had questions to ask. This is not a prominent Englishwoman that we need to tiptoe around. Ask your questions. Ask what you want to know. Make sure they're not yes/no questions. So, Rich, with your device, your motion device is already on. Don't expect a whole lot of numbers unless you're near the corners or near that half of the lot, because of the parking meters and the 2 electrical poles. I'm more interested in numbers back here, but you can ask Anne Bonny what her hair color is, and hopefully she'll show you what color it was. It is red, just so you know. This is the only place I've ever gotten a direct answer from that device to a red, just so you know. We've got it several times in this location. But everybody else, ask whatever the hell you want to. One of the best orbs I've ever caught was with the IR camera aired, came at this location, so came near that wall. But we are going to spread out and kind of see what's going on here. You guys all know what you're doing. Let's see what we can find. Let's do this. Wow, super fly group. You guys are freaking me out, man. I haven't really had a chance to talk to you. You been seeing anything on there?
No, not really. You know, it's just flickers from, you know, get the, just a blue hue or whatever, just the angle of the camera.
Yep.
Other than that, no. I haven't really seen anything that I would consider, I guess, a cold spot or whatever.
Sure. And that's why I send them to YouTube, and I don't always follow up in real time. Even that, you know, watching it on a cell phone, you know, it's not always a real time catch.
Yeah.
I actually,
Although, you know, how, like here, I've got their bodies, and you see it just bouncing around up top, right? Because it's going to the sky.
Right.
Now, when we were in the alley, it was like at our level. It wasn't like shooting up in the treetops. So it was like doing this little
Circular thing.
circular thing around Rick, I think.
And that's Rich.
And the young kid, the
Raffy.
molester.
Raffy.
Yeah, Raffy. But that's it. That's the only time I've seen it tonight where it's not bouncing around up top.
Wow, interesting. Well, there is a lot of brush down there, so I have to take into account that foliage is going to be colder than obviously brick, because brick is going to hang on to the day
I
sun.
didn't really, I wasn't really aiming it at the sides. I was kind of aiming it down,
Okay.
straight down. But
Well, it definitely gives
either
me a
way.
focal point. So I usually ask you guys, like, you know, at the end, like, hey, have you guys seen, is there a certain spot I need to focus on? You know, those kind of things. So, I mean, you just gave it to me to look down Philadelphia Alley. We have caught things down there before, but it's mainly been on the IR camera that Eric has. So we've caught little orbs down there and little things. We actually caught a 45-degree difference on that just a few nights ago. That's a pretty huge drop.
I would say so. Especially with it being as warm as it has been the last.
That night it was chilly. I want to say it was like 48, 49 degrees.
Okay.
But we did have, you know, some pretty low drops. Like, it was like, holy cow. Most of it was like between like 19 and 24 because I was like freeze framing it with each frame. And then I caught a 45-degree difference between like what was in the crosshairs versus the other piece. So it was kind of like, all right. I understand that the crosshairs doesn't move. You're just going to measure whatever it lands on.
Right.
But yeah, I have to look at all of those things. There was something going on in one of the cemeteries that we passed that I couldn't debunk because I went to, you know, look at it last night because I was like, let me take a peek in here. Couldn't find anything that would make it do that.
I'd say the other thing that Mary Reed, I think she died of maybe syphilis. That was very prevalent in pirate ships of the day. Any naval ships, for that matter, that made port calls.
Most of what's funny about the lady pirates, like they make them out to be these heroines, and they don't want to put that stigma on them of syphilis and, you know, those nasty
what
things.
killed Black? That's they believe that's what killed Blackbeard.
Well, Blackbeard, he had syphilis.
Yes, it caused him to go mad.
Right.
So.
And you know, he raided Charleston looking for medicine for that.
Yes.
So.
Of all the things, Mercury.
Yeah.
Mercury.
Yep.
Horrible stuff.
Let me see what everybody else got going on.
Huh?
Did you get some?
No.
So we're just talking.
Yeah, we were just talking. Because he hasn't talked to me all night, so.
Oh.
I was like, yeah, the only thing I've seen that was weird was when we were in the alley, the Philadelphia alley. The thing like goes to the coldest temperatures here.
Yeah.
It usually like floats around the top. Okay. And so it stays there, but when we were in Philadelphia Alley, when I was aiming it down like the alleyway, right, it like keyed on Rich or whatever his name was, and it was just like bouncing, doing a circle around him. Don't know, could have just been confused by the background or whatever, but
Yeah.
he sent me the walls on this thing when we were taking the horse tour earlier.
Like 4 inches thick.
No.
Oh, what is
40
it?
inches
Oh,
thick.
40.
40 inches thick. So the walls are almost 4 feet thick. Think about it. That's here to the ground. Thick. That's crazy. Oh, honey. You get anything on your radio stations?
I heard the name Samuel, but I can't tell if it's, you know, the radio interference or
Or are
not.
you asking questions?
Not really, no.
Well, that's kind of what you're supposed to be doing.
Well, I
here,
did in the
right?
beginning, but
Oh. Did you ask Aunt Bonnie what color her hair was?
no.
What Jack's ship name was?
Asked her where her baby was.
Well, it's like 50 degrees right now, so yeah. What you getting pictures of? You know, mine has a night filter vision
I
on
don't
it,
know what that is.
like for my camera.
Tina, you got anything? Are you taking notes? Have you
Looking
heard
at my picture.
Oh.
That I took.
Have you heard anything?
I heard the name Samuel. That was like in the beginning, but I don't know. I guess it's kind of hard to tell sometimes, you know, if it's the radio person.
Well, that's what you want.
Yeah.
You know, it is the radio that we're listening for.
I heard he had to die, but I don't know if that was radio interference or not.
Like, see, this is what mine does with that night photos.
Oh. Well, how is that different than mine?
Look at yours of the steeple. Right. So let's take a picture of that.
I have one right here.
All right, guys, let's rein it in. Let's see what we got going on.
Alright, so see how dark you pull yours up?
Yeah, I don't know.
Pull up that photo.
No. I mean, doesn't mean that there's not anything there. I just haven't seen it.
Numbers, colors? No, nothing at all. So there you go. Yeah, you're getting closer to the electrical pole. That's to be expected. So a couple of weird things that are going on here that might not be relevant specifically to Ann Bonnie, but just relevant to what's going on with us. So we were just discussing on how a lot of the deaths that I research, these people died in the same month that they were born in. The word month showed up on Lauren's word list almost immediately after. So again, that's kind of crazy. Emily heard two terms that kind of raised my attention. I'm not going to tell you what one of them is, but it is definitely a very specific name relevant to our next location that is next to St. Michael's Church. She also heard the name Michael. So again, and she heard them consecutively. So she heard the name that I normally give you guys as a question of something you can ask there, which is why I'm not telling you what the name is, but it's almost like they know we're coming. So again, I'm out here 6 to 7 nights a week. My name shows up quite a bit, but again, I haven't had something like that show up for this new location that we're going to next. And that space, by the way, is not a very elongated story. It is a very creepy story to end our night with. It will be our last space. I'll tell you what I do know about the location, and we will spread out. It is a very creepy park, especially at the time of night that we're going to be there. So let's cover what we got going on with Ann Bonnie. Did anybody else hear anything specific? Any initials? Anything coming up? A, B, M, R? Nothing? Wow, okay. So, and no readings out of Rich, so that's kind of disappointing. Again,
All I heard was I used to be better, she just didn't know it. That's all I heard towards the end.
that's a whole lot going on there.
Yeah, it was like whisper, space, and then again at the end. That was it. And then
Okay, I'll be writing that down as we walk to our next space, so kind of keep that one in the back of your brain. The photo of Anne Bonny that I'm about to show you is one of the few pictures you can find of this young lady with a shirt on. The reason why is because she used to bare her breast to show men that they were just killed by a woman. Yeah, told you this chick was kind of a badass, right? By the way, if you have a camera and you want to stop it, by all means do so. Give your hands a break. But the names of her parents... All right, Ann, I'll be back tomorrow. Talk to him every day. Let him know I'm coming back.
Right as you said, I don't know everything about this place except Gary.
Come on, my lady. Hmm? Hmm. Well, maybe the next place I have a porta potty years ago. Huh? 2.5 blocks. That's what I was telling you. Because he said it's 2.5 blocks away. I have no psychic abilities. We're headed to that church. 100 years as we're passing the Shop Charleston thing at Chalmers Street. Okay, 100 years as we're passing Chalmers Street. Okay. Huh. A 100 years disrespectful. Okay. Well, if there's anything there.
And it turns, and then the other thing is, where does it come from? That's what I heard.
Aren't these the questions we're supposed to be asking?
Yeah.
I got sin, refugee, monitor, permit,
You tell them
enact,
what you
measure, probably, and report, and consider.
Funny thing about HIV on there. So, this is a very open group. So the cemetery we just passed, like this regular church, some of the research I was doing, because I always look for like where's the famous people of that cemetery. Apparently the guy who came up with the active ingredient for Viagra is buried in there. So I was like, I don't know if I can really bring the boner piece to the tours when I get little kids on the tour. So I was
You think when he died he was stiff?
he might have been. I don't know. So, again.
Obviously more than 4 hours.
Pretty good. Guess he failed to call his physician.
Wow. What a fun group. I don't always get the laugh, and that's appreciated, guys. I really do.
He was asking if there was anything.
Oh, I heard 100 years. Well, about when? Well, I
Right
don't
as
know
we
if
were
it's
passing,
before or
right
after,
before
so.
Chalmers
Okay.
Street.
100 years.
What was the other one?
Disrespectful.
Disrespectful.
When we walked into this space, I heard
Oh.
disrespectful.
That's interesting. Hopefully that's not going to affect the rest of my investigation. Oh, by the way, you guys voted, I guess, on not bringing your dogs. What kind of dogs did you have?
We have a blue healer
Okay.
and a min pin chihuahua. So we left them.
I actually have an ESA for my epilepsy, so this is the only thing that's not with me. Just because I have to keep my hands busy and sometimes keeping him under control. He's a miniature dachshund, so again, he's very well trained, but when people are getting into my space, he does not look good. So this is the only thing that doesn't come with me. But anyway, welcome to Washington Park. So this is, we did get the word disrespectful. So again, we're going to see what happens here. Be very respectful to this guy that we're going to be speaking to. He's a very shy, timid writer. He was a very poor man. First time I came here a few months ago, every year I change out the tour a little bit. I take one location out and add another one. So I brought one couple over here just to see what would happen. And there's a ton of monuments, as you guys can see. Not to mention we're in George Washington Park. So I didn't know what to find. What we did find was clues to the gentleman behind me. This is Henry Timrod, who was the poet laureate of the Confederacy. So quick story on him is that he was sick through most of his life, but he was obviously alive during the Civil War. The things that we found were the year of his birth, the name Henry, and the name Tim. His last name is Timrod, kind of like Nimrod with a T. So, again, I guess that would be disrespectful. I shouldn't do that. There's our term. But anyway, he wanted to fight for the war on the Confederate side. So he went to the battlefield, but his friends realized he was too sick to fight. So they sent him home, knowing he was a writer, and said, go be the voice of the war. So he did. He came home, started writing about what was going on in the battlefield and in the hearts and minds of the people of Charleston. So a couple years after he came home from the war, he has a son, but his son dies at a very young age. One of the things that Emily heard was the name of that son. It's a very specific name. It's not a common name for the 1800s, and it's the exact name that is engraved into his tombstone. So hopefully it comes up again. This is also where she heard the name Michael. St. Michael's Church is right behind you. That's why I'm so interested that we're going to speak a lot of things here. So the son dies at a young age. Hopefully you can ask about the son's birthday. It's a very specific date that's significant to Americans. But at any rate, a few years after that, his friend calls him up, college friend, and says, you know what, you've been going through a lot. Why don't you come out to my cottage out here in Columbia? You can finish the pieces that you're working on for your publication, and we can kind of take things from there, and you can have some peace. I'm out of town. So he goes out there, and that's exactly where he writes his last words. His last words that he wrote down were, beholder of brief mortality, person of short life, in essence. And then he coughs, and the cough turns into a blood stain on the page. He had tuberculosis. So that blood stain looks like a man writing over his desk. Kind of a creepy thought, considering those were his last words, and then that's what he ends leaving the world. This is called the Blood Book, and they show this one page once a year at the Charleston Library Society. It's on Halloween only, and you have to be a member of the society to be able to go in and see the page, to my knowledge. I'm going to show you the page, because obviously there's a picture of it online, and I took it from there. So that way you get to see the actual last words that he wrote, and you get to see how that blood stain looks like, just like a man writing over his desk. After I go through and show you guys this little blood stain, I am going to read the last stanza of his poem called Charleston to hopefully stir things up. So again, very shy, timid, poor man. Very creepy story, very sad story. This man died also at a very young age. Hopefully you're going to be able to find out what that age is. Again, you all know what you're doing by now. You're doing very well. So Rich, with your device, in the grassy knolls of this area, we have caught up to 157 milligauss on your readings. And it's never in the same spot. So again, once in a while it'll be like in one knoll, and then 3 nights later it's in another one. It's so weird. So again, 157, that's microwave levels, guys. That's pretty high readings. So hopefully you're going to get a lot out of this. I would also tell you at the beginning of December, one of my ghost hunters that night brought an SLS camera. If you're not familiar with that, that's the stick figures, right? So he brought this big jumbled camera and was testing it out on my tour. And I was like, all right, cool, we'll see what happens. We had an 8-minute interaction with a stick figure standing next to this monument. And when I say interaction, Henry, is it okay if I read a stanza from your poem Charleston? Raise your right hand. Went up and back down. So you're going to find out once I tell you about how you get to your data tomorrow morning. I don't hide anything. Everything is on my website for an entire year from the date of its actual, investigation date. So if you want to go back and look at it, you just go back to December, and all the notations will be at the top, so you know which date to go to, and you can watch the full 8-minute interaction of what was going on with that camera. We actually videotaped it with the camera that Eric was using because the gentleman using it didn't know how to record with it yet. So I put the short little 3-foot girl to put the camera over the guy's shoulder so we can get the interaction in real time. Anyway.
I see an orb that's not moving, and it's completely dark over there, but it's very bright over here. I don't know if there's anything, but it's been there. It's like right up top, and you can't see it because it's being blocked by the trees.
I think it's the light from the archway.
Yep, I think it's the light over there.
Oh, over there?
Yep. That's a widescreen. It's going to fisheye a little bit.
Oh.
Hello, my friend Brian.
I don't know who Brian is.
Our friend.
This is Henry. We know not in the temple of the fates, God has inscribed her doom, and all untroubled in her faith, she waits the triumph or the tomb. This was written in 1862, right in the middle of the Civil War, so he's basically stating, because this was during the battle and the siege on Charleston, of what the outcome of the city was going to be, triumph or the tomb. Triumph and tomb have both shown up on spirit boxes in this location in the past. I realize the nights that I have forgotten to read this paragraph or this stanza, we don't get much activity. I like to stir things up, be very respectful, but give him a few minutes to actually interact with you. He has to get to know you before he's going to show himself. Again, weird stuff happens in here. You might actually get other clues to other people of monuments in here, so kind of be ready for that as well. I do pay attention to everything, including the names like Brian. I don't know who the hell Brian is, but I'm definitely going to write it down. But we're going to spread out, have some fun. Other tours do pass through here, be respectful to them, but I'm going to be mainly interested in what's going on with Richard's device, just so you know. He's going to be kind of like the gatekeeper of things are going to happen or not. So I'm going to let him patrol all of the different grassy knolls and then follow up with him and see where we're at. So go have some fun. This is our last stop, so let's do this. Can I see your word list since I haven't followed up with you in a minute?
Mm-hmm.
My stomach is really hurting.
I always wondered why they put monoliths.
You what?
Why do they always put monoliths in these parks?
Why do they take people?
No, why do they put monoliths?
What's a monolith?
That in the parks. Some kind of mason thing. Monolith, obelisk, whatever. Hmm?
There's something with privacy just randomly. And now it's like some angelic music. Somebody just said, what the hell? So random. I want to go up there. What is that right there? Is that just a front line? Let's see.
Beauregard.
What does it say in there?
I don't know. Let's see.
City.
That's weird. Staying. Staying this way. In one of these I can, like, see that? I can almost see your face reflected in that. It's weird.
What do you got going on?
I'm hearing all sorts of weird stuff.
Like what?
So what the hell?
Okay.
I heard privacy. All while we were sitting over on that bench.
So Maureen actually heard be a little bit more tender. And then you hear the word privacy. It's almost like, Nick, you got too many damn people in here tonight.
Okay.
Gotta look at it for what it is sometimes. It's not specific, but they are definitely messages that link up from two different sources.
Yeah.
So that's how I have to look at things. We're not giving up just yet because I haven't even made my full rounds. You got anything weird going on yours?
Mm-mm. No? Okay.
I heard too many.
Too many?
It was like a whisper.
Maybe too many groups in here tonight, I wonder?
Maybe.
Hmm? Mm-hmm.
So, I heard the word help. You do.
Huh?
What are you doing?
Mm-hmm. Oh, I'm ready to go home.
First, he just like let us all go our own way.
Mm. See that?
Looks like a person.
Oh, it's red.
Yeah.
You see anything red up there? I don't know. Does it look red behind that? It does, doesn't it? There's a reflection.
Yeah, but it doesn't look red.
That second story window doesn't look red to you?
I see like a shadow.
Huh. Craziness. Come on. Come on. I think it might be a reflection of that car's brake lights or something.
Yeah,
Are
because in
you-
my picture it does look red.
Yeah. Let me see yours. Okay. Yeah, you're going to. Well, you may have to go in one of these bars. Go use the bathroom. There's a porta potty over there. Is that what that is?
I'm not going.
Uh-huh.